So we did air, now we're gonna do, we did everything, every component of air, now we're gonna do the problems with the air. And here's the review, which most of you have in your notes already, so it's not necessarily something you have to rewrite, but what percent of Earth, what's the number one makeup in the atmosphere?
Nitrogen.
How much?
70%.
78%, and the other big portion?
The green
Oxygen, 21. Now, layers of atmosphere, first layer, tropo. I'm going to tell you right now, this and this is where I'm most focused for this unit is. What's the second? Strato. Then meso, then thermal. You see how I have them kind of in the bottom like insignificant? And ionosphere. Let's add that. Or exo. Ion/exo. Now, in the troposphere, you have 75 to 80% of Earth's air mass. And again, you don't have to uncover that in your notes. So, chemical composition of air, rising and falling of currents, weather, climate, planes flying. So, almost all the chemicals we're going to reference are in the troposphere, except one. One of them deals mainly with the stratosphere, and it's the ozone, because the ozone layer is found in the stratosphere. And what the ozone layer is a layer of molecules of ozone, which is O3, okay? When I recorded your video on water pollution, I told you as of this point on, the word pollution can no longer be in your vocabulary. It's a description of pollution. If you use the word pollution on your test, I'm going to put a big X. And I'm not even going to read it.
So you have to say description.
You have to describe what you're referencing, okay? So always remember that any introduction, buildup of a harmful substance, or introduction of a chemical, biological, physical agent that's going to cause harm or be at unhealthy levels or degrade, add the word degrade, is pollution, okay? I'll change the font there. I know that's a little large. All right, think honest. What produces pollution into your atmosphere? Burning. Period. When anything burns, there's going to be chemicals put into the atmosphere. Whoops, that's not what I was trying to say. It's over here. When anything burns, pollutants enter the atmosphere. And they could be natural, or give me an example of natural burning. Volcanic eruptions, okay, forest fires. But then we do a lot of burning of forest fires that's not natural, or fossil fuels, or factory production emissions. So we do a lot of, that would be human activities, okay? All right, so I mentioned in the last slide, natural sources. Excuse me. So we said volcanic eruptions, and there could be natural forest fires, which are considered wildfires. What else naturally emits into the atmosphere? What's that a picture of? Dust. Pollen, good. Big time pollen problem, right? There's like all these pollen allergies and pollen everywhere, and pollen levels at the highest, or plant debris. Our focus, which is what you guys did yesterday for today, is going to be on primary pollutants. And the definition of a primary pollutant is any pollutant that enters the atmosphere directly and naturally or by human activities, but does not mix with anything. It just goes straight up. And there's others that are not on my list, but I'm only going to focus on the list that the general AP book focuses on, and so does your book. And then a secondary pollutant, it could be when those primary pollutants mix, or when a pollutant that is emitted mixes with something else, okay? They're the ones I was forgetting. Carbon monoxide, carbon dioxide, sulfur oxide, nitrous oxides, volatile organic compounds, and particulate matter is the ones we're going to be covering. And like we were talking about before, dust, but particulate matter is the word. Now, what, put them in my note. This other graph here on this side shows you the leading sources of all of these. So the leading source of air pollution is transportation. The second is fuel combustion. The third comes from industry, and the fourth and fifth is industrialized or miscellaneous. Okay, that makes more sense. So transportation or cars lead to actually carbon monoxide, sulfur, nitrogen, particulate matter, and volatile organic compounds. Fuel combustion
Which
will
one?
lead to sulfur oxides, carbon monoxide, carbon dioxide, nitrous oxides. Do you get it? So there's a picture of primary pollutants being emitted through volcanic eruptions, factory. Right here's volcanic eruptions, here's factory, and here's transportation. And then somehow, what's that white stuff? A cloud mixes, and you're getting your secondary pollutants. And remember, water, universal solvent, so it's constantly going to be mixing with other chemicals, and that's how you lead to a secondary pollutant. This is not on the test, air pollution.
It's just
So
water.
our first primary pollutant is carbon monoxide, and first by no mean as in, oh, it's the most important, it's just the first one. And you write carbon monoxide as CO, as I put right there. Carbon monoxide, one oxygen. It's an odorless, toxic, colorless gas. So you don't say, oh, I'm breathing carbon monoxide. No, because you have no idea, and that's why people die from carbon monoxide poisoning. So when you smoke cigarettes, you're poisoning yourself. Does that make sense? And how does carbon monoxide form? Well, if you look at a cigarette when you smoke it, you have incomplete burning. So you see the ash forming, like your barbecue, the ash that forms, like your fireplace, all those produce carbon monoxide. Not at levels to harm you, like your car exhaust would. Have you ever heard the story where police officers would put people behind the car and handcuff them, and then they went back and they weren't alive? Yeah. Or people lock their car, or during hurricane season, because there's no ventilation, you put your generator inside your house. Not a good idea. Yeah. So transportation, 80%, and I want you to link carbon monoxide to car exhaust, because that's where the incomplete burning takes place, and that mechanism. Cigarettes, big contributor, burning of organic materials, and fossil fuel burning usually leads to CO2 instead of CO, but you still have some emissions of CO, and most communities will meet the standards of carbon monoxide. And I'm going to show you what that means in a minute.